What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. I'll talk about some key levels to watch for as time goes on, what's happening with the charts. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or use my QR code right here to sign up. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of Nvidia. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth of the stock, or deposits $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia. You're also going to qualify for a 3.6% APY base rate plus a 4.5% APY extra for 3 months, making it a total of an 8.1% APY. And the offer ends very soon, so please check out my link down below to sign up. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the market. So right now, SPY is up 0.33%, testing that 685 area. That's close to where we talked about SPY was going. And I think there's still some more upside, at least temporarily, as we approach this very, very big news. So, as you guys know, the Senate has once again passed the short-term government funding bill and sent it to the House, where a vote could come as early as today. The bill would fund the government through January 30th, providing for some funding for some government agencies for the remainder of the fiscal year. What happened was the House Rules Committee voted on 8-4 votes to advance the Senate passed funding bill to the House floor for consideration, meaning that now the House of Representatives have to look over this. Once they look over this, they're going to be voting upon this possibly later on today. I heard it's going to be around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when the voting's supposed to start. And then once they approve this, I think they eventually will approve this, right? It's going to be passed on to President Trump's desk, and then President Trump will be signing it into law, which will thus officially end the government shutdown. So all this enthusiasm with the event is what's helping the market go higher. As we predicted yesterday, we're still pumping higher. And we're going to be watching the closer we get to this 686 areas, our resistance, to see if we break this for all-time highs, or if we kind of push approaching the event and we get some kind of rug pull afterwards. I think that's going to be very, very important. On top of this, there was some big news that came out. AMD, despite the fact that it dipped a little bit, this is also bouncing after their CEO, Lisa Su, announced that we're going to be looking for insane revenue growth every single year of about 35% or so. And we're looking for a big improvement in their AI data center. So it's going to be once again bringing in a lot more growth for the company. On top of that, I just want to make it clear that the government shutdown could be over soon, but the Bureau of Labor Statistics is not going to release all the data immediately. It's going to take some time for them to catch up on data collection. Even if the government shutdown ends this week, it could take them some time before we start to see everything released. So even CPI, for example, that's not going to come out tomorrow. Even if the government reopens, we still have to wait for things to catch up. And besides that, there's nothing else too crazy coming out on the news, at least thus far, that I haven't really talked about already. So for today, today's Wednesday, November 12th, we basically have Williams, Paulson, Waller, Bostic, and Myron from the Fed all giving speeches between 9:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and around 12:30 p.m. So we have a bunch of Fed speakers for the day. That's it. There's nothing else too significant coming out for today. And then I also want to add on that what could be coming out, however, outside of this data, is the government shutdown news. So we're waiting to see what happens with the House. Do they vote in favor of the new agreements from the Senate to end the shutdown, or does this get delayed? I think that they should vote in favor of it, because at this point it's taking way too long and too many Americans are struggling. So I think very soon the U.S. House of Representatives will be once again voting on the overall agreement, and they should be reopening the government in the upcoming days, in my opinion. Finally, for earnings, there's not really much coming out. We do have Walt Disney tomorrow, and that's pretty much it. So let's talk about the charts. What's going on so far? Well, if SPY wants to remain bullish, we need to hold above 686. If we break this, we're basically heading close to all-time highs. We could be looking for 688. But if we're bearish, you want to see us basically reject, and you want to see us come back down to not only fill the gap, but lose 682. If we lose this resistance becoming support at 682, we could continue to fall to 678. As of right now, the chart looks like it's going to be favoring upside for a retest of 686, and we're going to eventually attempt to get to like 688 for some upside. But here's the thing, even if we push higher, even if we pump a little bit more, okay, it's still possible that we get a big rejection. This could be like a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of event where we pump super hard approaching the government shutdown ending. Then once it officially ends, we get a rug pull in the markets. That's also a strong possibility. So be careful. I think the market is still bullish right now. We could attempt to go higher. Upon open, look for some consolidation before we attempt to go for like 688 or so. But then after the shutdown news comes out about how the government shutdown's ending, we're going to see if we get some kind of rug pull or not. On the QQQ, we look more bullish. We also have this inverse head and shoulders like pattern. And if we could hold above 625, I think our next target is going to be 629. But once we fill this gap, if we do go a little bit higher, do we keep climbing past 629 or do we get some kind of rug pull to fill this next gap below? If we get the rug pull, it could be because the government shutdown is fully priced in. As of right now, we're not ready for that, and I think the market might attempt to go higher. We need to lose 617 to be bearish on the QQQ, and as long as we're above 625, I'm favoring consolidation then in attempts to push for 629 to 630. Then we're going to see if we reject or not. So keep that in mind. On the IWM, we have an inverse head and shoulders. As long as we don't lose 242, we're going to be favoring an attempt to go higher back up towards 246 to 248, and we're going to see if we get a rejection or not. On ES, we're looking more bullish. We're favoring 6,900 or a little bit above that. So look for a little bit more upside. Then we're going to see if we get a rejection or not, back down to 6,800. But for now, I'm favoring some upside. So keep that in mind, at least for the time being. For NQ, we're favoring a move closer to about 25,900 to 26,000. I do favor upside for now. So we could be looking for some upside closer to 26,000. And we're going to see if we get a rejection or not. But as of right now, the charts look more bullish. On Bitcoin, we got a nice bounce. So far, we're technically in a consolidation between 106 and 101,000. We could be looking for 106,000. We'll see if we reject. On Tesla, we're looking decent. We need to hold above 440. If we hold this, we're looking for 445. But if we reject it, we could turn back down. So we're favoring 445, and we'll see if we turn or not. But there is a little bit of upside potential with the government shutdown potentially ending. For Nvda, we're looking decent. There is this gap down here to fill. So in case we come back down, we're looking for 193. Overall, we could still uptrend, though, even if we return to like 193 to fill the gap. We could slowly bounce back up for like 198 to 200. Then we're going to see what happens after the shutdown. Do we continue to turn? Do we get that rejection back down to 188 before we try to bounce again? I'll be watching that very closely. Appl could return back down to 272.5, and we'll see if we bounce. On MSTR, we're also forming an inverse head and shoulders, but as we're trying to gap up, we might be returning to fill this gap at 231 before it tries to bounce. On Palantir, same thing. Might be revisiting 188 before it attempts to bounce. AMD is looking bullish after all the news that came out. It could try to keep going for like 255. Still looks bullish to me. Coinbase has 311 and 321 as our resistances. It could be going for like 311 and 315. Amazon's looking more bullish as long as we don't lose 247. We're favoring like 252 to 255. Meta is favoring 631 as our resistance. If that breaks, this inverse head and shoulders could take us higher back up towards 635. Google is also looking more bullish. However, there are some gaps to fill. We have a gap to fill down here at 292 and also around 290. Could be dipping to the low 290s before it attempts to bounce. And then Microsoft is going to be favoring 511 as our resistance. Once again, could uptrend for 511 to 513. The VIX is also looking weak here. We're going to see if it bounces or not, but overall, it looks to me like the market is favoring upside for the time being. SPY may consolidate here. We're going to see if we fill this gap back down to 683 or not, but overall, we could continue to uptrend and bounce. Every time we dip, we just get bought back up. And SPY is still looking more bullish. Even if we come down a bit, we could still bounce and continue to get close to all-time highs. But keep in mind that this is just a temporary move, right? We're approaching the government shutdown ending news. What's going to happen after that? Let's say that the House ends up passing the agreement. Will we get a rug pull after that? That's the main thing I'm trying to say. You want to be very careful with this setup now. For now, it's bullish overall, even if we come down a little bit upon open and bounce. But we're going to see what happens once this news comes out. Thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.